what would you say to a chronically ill or disabled entrepreneur who's got a valid business idea but lacking in confidence?
You can do it. You can work with your body and your brain. There is nothing out there that says that you have got to do the hustle, 9 till 5. You've got to be on it 100%, 24/7. There is nothing that says that that is the only route to success. There are other routes. Your body and your brain work with that. Your chronic illness or your disability could actually be your advantage.
If you could put up on a giant billboard a message what Ablepreneurs is all about, what would it be?
Simple, really. Entrepreneurship has no limits.
Kelly?
And mine would be talent without barriers.
Welcome to the Small Actions, Big Ripples podcast, where we celebrate the achievements of individuals whose small intentional actions create waves of positive change. I'm delighted to welcome in this episode Helen Pugh, founder, and Kelly Ward, director of Ablepreneurs, a purpose-driven network dedicated to supporting disabled, chronically ill, and neurodivergent entrepreneurs on the road to business success. Helen, Kelly, welcome to the Small Actions, Big Ripples podcast.
Thank you.
I'm interested to know a bit more about your personal stories and what brought you both to Ablepreneurs. Helen, can we start with you first?
Yes, certainly. So I have got a lifelong condition, which in 2021 literally forced me from the traditional workplace. I tried to work from home in a remote job. It was very heavy, target-driven, long hours. And what I found was I was literally living to work and sleep. That was it. And within 6 months, I had a rapid decline. So I decided that the time had come to forge my own path, something that I'd actually always had an interest in, but sometimes these things, you don't do it until you're pushed. So that's what happened. So I started to freelance for a short while. And along the way, a lot of people were signposted to me that had chronic illnesses, disabilities, were looking to leave the workplace, had left the workplace. And it was like, go and speak to Helen. She's done it. She's now forged her own path and she's doing this, that and the other. So it sort of led me to see that there was a big group of people out there that needed support, and they needed a community that understood them and what their needs were.
And Kelly, what about your personal story?
I have 6 different autoimmune conditions that I've had since I was 18, and I've had multiple surgeries and ongoing medical treatments. And Helen and I are in a different networking group, and so she put on a marketing day about Ablepreneurs and looking for people to get involved, and I've never seen a group of people that are like me in a group who struggle with the same things that I struggle with, and I just really wanted to be involved in it. So I asked Helen for a one-to-one. I read her book, which is amazing, and I wish I'd have had her book 20 odd years ago when I first started in my career, because it's really helped me balance out how I work, and so I don't end up in that work bed cycle that a lot of chronically ill people do end up in.
Sounds like a dream team. Ablepreneurs is built around the idea of different abilities, limitless potential, which is quite a powerful phrase. What does that mean to you personally?
In the workplace as a whole, it's expected that people will work 9 to 5 and we will work 40 hours a week, and we will do 47 weeks in the year. But when you are chronically ill or neurodivergent or disabled, we don't run on that same timeline. But that doesn't mean that we don't have talent, professional experience, value that we can give to the workplace, to employers, to people that we serve, to our wider community. So to have Ablepreneurs and to have the strapline of breaking barriers, I think is so powerful for people that might feel a bit disenfranchised from employment. They might feel a bit frustrated that they can't fit into that normal box. And so they might feel like, what do I have to contribute? What can I bring? And that they've been put on the scrap heap of life, where Ablepreneurs gives people that new opportunity and horizon to be like, this is not the end of you. This is a new flourishing of you, that you can operate a business or a professional endeavor, but based around your body and your energy, rather than trying to fit into a box we will never fit into, and it only burns us out and makes it poorly. So just the power of the network that Helen has created is like, it's certainly empowered me. And that's why I wanted to be involved, because if I can bring how I feel to other people and bring Helen's message and vision to other people that operate like me, then I think that would be one of the biggest purposes of my whole professional career to date. Like, it gives, it's like proper value that I want to be able to give to people and bring the skills that I've got to be able to help people in the Ablepreneur community progress with us.
Here. A very powerful concept, a very powerful idea, and a message. I think we do need to change the narrative around disability, chronic illness, employment opportunities and entrepreneurship. And I'm so pleased you've managed to get this off the ground. And we're going to talk about this incredible idea that you've come up with, the National Ablepreneurs Day.
Yep.
So recently you have launched the very first National Ablepreneurs Day. Helen, can you tell us a bit more about this special occasion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea came about from, it's quite a sort of negative situation that happened. I was shortlisted for an award, so a finalist for an award. And unfortunately, leading up to it, I'd been having some more problems with my health, and I wasn't able to go to the ceremony. So I got in touch with them and said that, because they kept sending the emails, are you going to be booking your ticket? And I said, no, I'm not going to be able to make it. This is what's happened. I've had flare up. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere quickly, and I really wouldn't be able to manage the day. And if I did get there, it's the repercussions after, which is unfortunately the way that it is when you've got chronic health conditions. And they said to me that my finalist title was being taken away because I couldn't attend the actual event. Now, I found that pretty outrageous, if I'm honest. It didn't bother me so much the fact, oh, you're no longer a finalist, but how many other people are there out there like me that can't see something through like that because of their chronic illness, disabilities, or for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter whether they work full time, whether they don't work, whether they work a few hours. If they are doing something that requires sort of recognition, being championed, then they should get that. So that is why I came up with National Ablepreneurs Day. So it is there to champion disabled, neurodivergent, chronically ill entrepreneurs, freelancers and creatives, and give them a day to be celebrated, because they do bring so much to the economy. Like Kelly said, it's not in the same 9 to 5, it's not in that same hustle. They do it in the way that works for their body and their brain, and they deserve to be recognised for that. And that is what a National Ablepreneurs Day is all about.
Thank you for explaining, and well done for turning what was a negative experience in your life into force for good. Kelly, what do you think in your own personal experience are the biggest barriers that chronically ill and disabled entrepreneurs face today?
I think it's the understanding of what it takes to live with either an ongoing condition, a disability, or neurodivergent thinking. Because, like somebody like myself, my conditions are all autoimmune. So, like underneath my clothing, I have scars from surgery and I wear a permanent ileostomy bag. But people that don't know me would think I'm perfectly tickety-boo, like I'm perfectly fine. And then you can appear flaky because a flare can come on with weather changes. It can come on with stress. It's just one of those things that your body can go against you at any time. It's being able to have the understanding that why I am consistent and can be consistent. Consistency might look like 10% on one day, 100% on another day, 25% on the next day. And it won't always be squeezed into that hustle, 9 to 5. And having the understanding that we can contribute to the team, to the mission, to the community, whatever we're doing, but we need that understanding that it might not be at the speed that somebody wants it to be, but it definitely will get to that finish line.
And exactly, not all disabilities are visible.
No.
Helen, following on from what Kelly's just said, to what extent do you believe that actually some of those disabilities or chronic illnesses or aspects of neurodivergence that some people have can become the impetus for business success, or indeed become assets that perhaps a recruiter should be looking out for when they're looking to hire? If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about somebody that's got a chronic illness or a disability, if they've had, for quite some time, the resilience that they build it can be incredible. And that is really important in sort of today's workplace as well, particularly if, there is that kind of pressure in the environment, in the workplace, then that resilience is going to stand them in really good stead. The other thing as well is their creativity and their problem thinking strategies are very different, particularly if they've got neurodivergence. It's very different than somebody else in the workplace. And that can only strengthen what they're doing. If they've got another view in on something, that if they hadn't got somebody there that was, for instance, neurodivergent, then they wouldn't have that insight. So that can be incredibly powerful to somebody's business to have something different that they wouldn't otherwise have.
What a powerful message. And indeed, this is what I suspected your answer was going to be. Even for recruiters, you need to be seeking out those people with different abilities that can bring something special to a team. If National Ablepreneurs Day succeeds in its mission, what would you like to see being different in the foreseeable future?
Well, obviously, what I want to see is more inclusivity. That goes sort of without saying. And I want businesses like the awards company, where they sort of, stripped me of my finalist title. I want to see companies like that actually understand and realise. And a lot of it is about education, and people, they do need to be educated because, for instance, and I mean, this goes for a lot of things really, if you haven't worked with somebody, or you haven't got a family member or something like that that's got disabilities or chronic health conditions, you cannot begin to understand what it takes for them to actually be an entrepreneur, to actually run a business. Nobody could understand that until you've actually got more involved in it. Yes, we can educate people. Yes, we can tell them. But unless you're actually seeing it side by side, you really cannot appreciate it. Like I said, the resilience. There are so many barriers for us to overcome personally in order to do what we do every day. And I think that needs to be understood by the wider business community.
So Helen, you've lived it, you've been there. What would you say to a chronically ill or disabled entrepreneur who's got a valid business idea but lacking in confidence, thinking, can I do this? What would you say to them?
First of all, I'd say come and speak to us, Ablepreneurs, because that's what we're here for, to help and to support people that, yes, some of them are already in business. It may be people that are looking to get into business, or they're still in the workplace and it's like, I need to get out, but what do I do? So there's that side of it. And then it's, You can do it. You can work with your body and your brain. There is nothing out there that says that you have got to do the hustle, 9 till 5. You've got to be on it 100%, 24/7. There is nothing that says that that is the only route to success. There are other routes. Your body and your brain work with that. Your chronic illness or your disability could actually be your advantage.
Your assets, as we've said before. Kelly, how can people support or get involved with Ablepreneurs Day, which is, can you remind us again when it is held and where?
So it's going to be held on the 16th of September, and it's going to be held at the Roxeter Hotel. And people can get involved. We have a lead page where people can book a spot to come and join us. If people can't join us or they're not in the local area, we would love them to come and give us a follow on social media and to be able to support the day, because we will be broadcasting it live over stories and filming lots to keep the community involved. And we'd like people to champion us. If you know somebody who's chronically ill or disabled or neurodivergent in your own life, give them a nudge towards us, because as well as the professional and the entrepreneurial side of it, there's also the wellness side of it and looking after yourself. And for people that maybe don't want to be self-employed and work within employment, there is also another way. The book that Helen wrote helps an individual plan themselves and their own work. And one of the things that we're very keen to do, and Helen has already created, is courses for employers to be able to help them understand that, yes, that might be that person's job remit, but this is how they would better be suited to do it. So one of the things that Helen does in her book, which I absolutely loved and is just made a difference to me personally, is she puts tasks into different buckets. So you would separate what is a low energy task, what's a medium energy task, and what's a high energy task, so that on any given day, regardless of what the meat suit is doing, we can do something out of one of those buckets, which helps with your own confidence and your own self-esteem, because you always feel like you're moving forward and that you're not stuck. And that has been such a revelation to me, because I've always been someone that's gone 100 miles an hour, then I hit the wall, and then I'm out the game for 2 weeks, and then I get back up and I run 100 miles an hour and I hit the wall. But from working with Helen and from reading her book, she has helped me understand that I can break up the things that I do, and it doesn't have to be all things to all people on all days. Some days it can be creating content. Some days it might just be as simple as sending that one email that I absolutely have to send. And it's taken so much physical pressure out of... It was only me beating me up with a stick. It wasn't coming from anywhere else. Yeah. But like Helen gave me the permission to relax with myself, to be able to continue to go forward. And do and achieve more things in a more gentler way to myself. And I'm grateful for that. And so that's why I can't wait to bring this message to our wider community, because it is absolutely needed for both people like us and for the people that employ people like us, or I work as a coach, for people that like who work with us, to know that, you know, some days I might look quite presentable and other days I might look like I've been run over by a truck, but like, bear with me, like we will be back to it.
We all need to learn to be kinder to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that education aspect that you just mentioned, so important for employers. And I know we've mentioned your book, Helen, a couple of times. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, so the Ablepreneur Advantage... it's about building a business that works with your own body and brain, like you've said. It's breaking things down. It talks. As you go through it and like you read it, like you've said, it gives you permission. I've been like Kelly in the past, you know, going at it at 100 miles an hour. I'm probably still a little bit guilty about it now. I know it's not the way to do it. 100% I know it's not the way to do it. I obviously write about it not being the way to do it. And it's the sort of book that you can dip in and out of and think, okay, what do I need right now? So there's like, for instance, you know, you've got about pricing in here. So you've got about resilience as well, and different things like that, energy aware planning. And there's numerous different things in there that you can keep dipping back into depending upon what you need.
So employers, recruiters, disabled entrepreneurs can all benefit from reading it, and it's available on...
It's available on Amazon. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say that it would be beneficial to anybody to read to get an insight. You mentioned employers. I hadn't necessarily written it with employers in mind, but we've talked about, once again, like you said, education. That is going to educate the employer on what one of their workforce may need if they are chronically ill. Don't write them off. They don't need to be written off. They just need a different pace and an understanding, and they will still deliver.
So important. Very powerful. Thank you, Helen. If you could put up on a giant billboard a message what Ablepreneurs is all about, what would it be, Helen?
Simple, really. Entrepreneurship has no limits.
I love that.
Yeah.
Kelly?
And mine would be talent without barriers, and being able to live without barriers as who you are.
Very powerful. Thank you both. And on that note, that's a wrap for another episode of the Small Actions, Big Ripples podcast. Thank you to Helen and Kelly for being my guests today. What an enjoyable and insightful conversation have we just had. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you.